G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a Vel-46. So this is your Woolworths home brand version of the MP7 that has been ported from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 from 2022. Specifically, it's an MP7A2 because instead of the built-in folding grip at the front, this thing's got a Picatinny rail, which gives you a lot more abilities or choices in terms of what grip you want to use on this particular weapon. So this is a German-made PDW developed around the turn of the century from 2001-ish and still in use today. It fires a special cartridge. It's like 4.6 by 30 NATO rounds because, you know, Germany being NATO, a little bit of remnants from the Cold War there when, yeah, we won, we took over Germany, the Reds aren't in it anymore. Isn't that great? And all the people that are living in the Soviet-controlled German territory flooded over back to the western side because, you know, we treated them better, I suppose. Yeah, those communists were not very nice people. Anyways, so yeah, it fires a specific round. It's, yeah, 4.6 by 30, and it's that's a little bit smaller than your standard 9mm bullet, but they're able to get a lot more bullet velocity out of those cartridges, so you'll find that this thing, compared to standard 9mm, is going to penetrate through armor a little bit better, which is good for a little bit of stopping power for such a small cartridge in a very compact weapon. There's lots of customization options, so we'll go ahead. Right now, I've got the 45s in it, which is, I think, is a close approximation. You could probably get away with just the 38 rounds, but that might make it so it's too easy to feed the Vel-46 as it is. So we're just using the 45 rounds. Unless the Call of Duty head cannoners, they've actually shoved in the 45 ACPs into this thing, which would make it give you a lot of recoil, but maybe they've figured something out how to dampen that recoil in whatever future the Call of Duty franchise of the modern times is set in. Anyway, so we can go all the way up to powerful auto with this thing, which gives us 102 damage, very similar to that of the assault rifle. You might think that that damage would be lame, but we're going to have a much higher rate of fire on this thing, although our range is not going to be spectacular because obviously these bullets aren't very heavy, so they're not going to carry that damage or that kinetic energy over a longer way than compared to rifle rounds. But here we go, here's a few stocks, so we can collapse the stock if we want, or chuck on some more proprietary stocks. That one looks like something you'd find on an M4. Built to control recoil. That's great because we want to control that as much as possible and fully mag dump everything. So now you get the choice between barrels, which for some reason doesn't actually change the amount of range that you get out of this thing at all. I feel like that should increase the range because the barrel length helps the bullets fly straighter further and helps carry that velocity. Less muzzle flash too, so if you're firing this thing during the night without a flash hider, you won't blind yourself or anyone else standing near you when you're firing it. We can throw a suppressor on this. There's also multiple recoil control implements as well, including muzzle brakes and compensators and such. But we'll go for a suppressor on this thing because we get Ace Operator, the black kite one. Look like the 10mm ones that you find in the vanilla Fallout 4 game. That's cool. And we can throw on some grips on the lower rail like I mentioned earlier. Let's go for a angled grip on this thing. It's a Commando foregrip for improved recoil control and better accuracy. Obviously, you'll probably find that these things the descriptions are mostly lifted from Call of Duty, so probably won't have too much bearing on how these perform other than them just looking different. But you get a whole lot of grips on this thing, including some that don't have textures. That's weird. Hopefully this one does. It does great. And for the tactical slot, you can throw on some lasers, including 5 milliwatts of laser sight on the side there. Looks like it's blue. Blue here, but green on the back. That's weird, but we'll take a green one, that's fine. And you can change the grip. You won't be able to see this in first person because your hand will be covering it, but this one gives you superior recoil control, so why not? And we've already gone over the barrels, and now we can get to the sights, which has the aim point, which is an AIM OP V4. Interesting. And there's more down here, including ones that look a little bit like baskets. That's a Russian OKP reflex sight. We've seen them getting around. There's also the EOTech SZ Lone Wolf optic. We'll go with one of those things, just like Battlefield 4 back in the day. Used to use this thing with a holographic sight. Probably not the best choice. There's also a damage slider there if you feel like this thing isn't punching or pulling its weight. It could punch above its weight with plus 90%, but we won't do that. I think that's a little bit too much. We'll keep the damage as is. I'll craft another one of these without all of the suppressors and perhaps a little bit more basic, but yeah, that's what you get out of this thing. So the customization is pretty good. We'll show you how to craft it. Wait, I forgot magazines. So you set at 40 round, you can have 30 rounds if you want less for some reason, 50 rounds, or a big 60 round drum in the bottom. Thank you very much, I'll take that. On your chemistry workbench, you can find the Vel-46 down the bottom there, because V, it's pretty late in the alphabet. So you can craft this with Gun Nut Rank 2 and these materials. Pretty simple. Alrighty, welcome to the Immersive Gunners Plaza once again. Here is our MP7 in first person, complete with a switch to third person because all of the tactical rolling mods like you see here. Yeah, that's what happens. It just changes viewpoint sometimes. Anyway, so there's a blood bug over there. We'll try to get a couple of cheap shots on him. Not that we're going to be able to hit him for that much, but you know, the bullet velocity of this thing in real life isn't hit scan, so we got away with a little bit of tomfoolery there as he's sort of coming into view now. There we go. Got the job done. He was aggro. We didn't get any sneak criticals there, but we will soon do in a second. And next, we've got the basic looking one. See, whoever commented about the iron sights, I'm using them now. You happy? Better be. This one's just got a big old muzzle brake on it. The stock that's just completely gone, so it'd be really hard to control this thing, I think, without any shoulder support, but we'll manage, I think. Anyways, we'll get started. There's no options for a scope or anything, so the amount of cheap shots that I take from here probably won't be too effective. Probably get 1 or 2 kills before moving on. There we go. I mean, the recoil on this thing is sufficient enough that I can probably get a pretty long burst on my enemies before, or I could just wait for them to come closer. That's a pretty good idea, I suppose. The ones that aren't in any cover at all, they're an easy shot, so maybe we'll just do that. Perhaps the ones that phase through walls, they stop moving for a second after they did it, perhaps amazed by their abilities they've found. Now, the MP7 back in the battlefield, where I used to use it, I'd never really rated it. I used it because I wanted to get my PDW mastery. But I've always, I don't know, I just come into this off my experiences from using it in Battlefield, expecting it to be just this wild recoil muzzle drift sort of thing, but no, that's not happening. This is a definite Call of Duty tier recoil, and excuse me, mouse, thank you. Don't make me fire into nothing. Chill out. Alright. Now, we'll go over to our unsuppressed one. I will mention that I gave this an extra 20% damage boost just so, you know, it doesn't fall too far behind for the suppressed version. Sue me. And here's a funny thing about weapons with supremely high rates of fire that aren't the minigun. The whole muzzle flash, at least in the vanilla setup, I don't think it's ever meant to flash so fast. So when you do get a weapon using standard muzzle flashes, you'll find that it creates this weird swirling effect, and it's distracting because I'm missing all my targets now. But yes, the good thing about this thing, it's got a high rate of fire, so you get those quirks, but that allows for a lot of really fast DPS and getting stuck on things that might disrupt aiming. Yeah, I'm gonna make excuses, but you do. Alright, so knowing that there's basically zero recoil when it comes to using this thing, we're just gonna aim for the head and see what we can do. Seems to get through them a little bit easier. We can sort of keep firing and being mobile with this thing on the move because the hip fire is so good. Let's go back to the suppressed one. There we go. And perhaps the timer's nigh for a little bit of VATS, which is surprisingly not as efficient as I thought it'd be, being a short-barreled sort of machine pistol setup. Would have thought it'd be slightly more generous, but what can you do, eh? There's probably ways I could optimize this better by using a shorter barrel, and I'm losing the reflex side on this, but it's about the same. 8 criticals. Wow, the mysterious stranger even missed. The bugs, they're multiplying, I think. We've got plenty of bullet time VATS now, so why not, eh? Very good. Made short work of that fella, that's for sure. Or that Sheila, I should say. So I can't say much about this thing that is too detrimental. I can't really pick on any flaws that are wrong. I feel like the damage is in a spot which is, yeah, it's the same numbers as an assault rifle, but the DPS feels a lot higher because you've got that extra rate of fire. But as I just demonstrated then, if you're hitting them from basically outside a shotgun distance, it's going to take a little bit of killing to deal with these particular gunners. So definitely a very short range sort of weapon here, and it's not going to take over your assault rifle in terms of its damage. What do you got there? Honey Badger. Yes, I got that mod installed. Now all the gunners are picking it up. I don't know, I must have saw my video on it because it's a pretty good weapon, but helps when you actually have mods on it, I think. But we're almost done here. It's been a pretty cruisy run, all things considered. We're around nerd rage time now. I would like to... Never mind, we've just activated that as I just slaughtered that guy in like 2 seconds. Just channeling the anger I feel. Now that is a proper Call of Duty door breach, I would say. Where it goes slow motion and you gotta kill everything. Just ignore the mouse being a bitch. I don't know why that happens. I'll probably never buy Razer gear again after this. I'm gonna retire this, the mouse and keyboard that I've got, and just say to everyone who's thinking of buying Razer products, don't. They're shit. Sorry. If you're a representative from Razer, I'm greatly displeased about the state of my gear and how it's not working. That was a very fast kill with sneak criticals. Alright, so I think you get the idea. It's been pretty fun so far, pretty nice. I'll go on to monsters now, but you can wear this weapon. As always, it works with classic holstered weapons. Everything seems to be in order there, so a great apparel item, I think. And I also forgot to put this on. No, I didn't. That's fine. I have to turn the SSAO off every time I do the weapons thing, because otherwise you see right through it. It's just distracting. Looks like Swan's got no friends to play with today, so we'll have to make up the numbers here. And the way I'm thinking I'm going to do this is, I can go prone with this thing. Isn't that great? All right, we'll hide in the grass and take cheap shots at his face. I would have thought that would have been slightly more effective, but what can you do, eh? We'll throw some criticals down in his way. Okay, it's not as good. Perhaps. Okay, Operation Hide in the Grass has not worked. Now we're being shot at. Or at least rocks are being thrown at us right now, and that's not fun. We've got a full bar of criticals ready to go for bullet time VAT, so maybe we might use that. I don't know if I need to reload here. I think I'll get through all of the crits before I run out of bullets, but what can you do, eh? Oh, he's distracted by something else. Actually, that might work to my advantage. I'm gonna play this like Metal Gear? No, I won't. Okay, so this is a feature of the mod that's been talked about by the people in the comments about how you put your weapon down when you're behind a object or run up to an object, so your gun doesn't just stick through nothing. At least in first person you do. That animation at this particular version is broken, which is unfortunate, but what can you do, eh? Okay, I'm not going to stand here and cop all this nonsense, mate. Got a full AP bar. We'll have a little bit left over to sprint, I think, after we're done, but you can really see the range penalty getting to it, and I'm thinking it might actually be better to drop that 5% of damage, just to get that perhaps a little bit of extra range out of this thing. He hit me with that rock somehow. There we go. He's no match for my skills of standing behind an object. Got you figured out, mate. What? Okay, that was never going to work. Unfortunately, it can't lean out like that in VATS. I could try, though. I'm going to try it. See what happens. You can lean out in VATS. What? That's awesome. Okay, the mysterious stranger finally makes his mark, and I'm not saying we're struggling, but this is definitely taking a little bit longer than previous weapons that I've seen, and looks like we're about to get into nerd rage once again. Can we get that? There we go. Good opportunity to nail as many headshots as I possibly can, and waste a critical on a reload. Just wait a minute. There it is. Alrighty. The deed is done. We've got a couple of scars to show for it, I think, but we got the job done. That's all you can ask for. And like I said before, I feel like this thing, as it is actually pretty well balanced. It doesn't feel like it's blowing enemies away, but I'm having to put in a little bit of effort to fight my foes. And I don't know, it just feels like it's in a good spot for balance. So that's great. What could be added to this thing to make it better? We'll fix the animations, which perhaps a version later on will be released where that bug is no longer a thing. You've got yourself a pretty good weapon modder. There's not a lot more that I could suggest adding onto this thing to make it a whole lot better. So a pretty good sign so far. Let's go full stealth commando sneaky mode. Alright, under the cloak of night, we should be able to kill this Mr. Wendigo man pretty fast. We might want to start this off a little bit of cheap bullet time there. And yeah, this thing absolutely shreds when you've got it with sneak criticals. Unfortunately, we couldn't maintain that for very long, but looks like we're going to go straight back into nerd rage as we roll into nothing. I think we've got a ghoul behind me as well. Let me just sidestep you, mate. A little bit easy to do in slow motion, that is. Now, if all else fails, we can drag him into the great turret grid of Warwick Homestead, but I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. We'll have to just outpath him, and whenever he comes tapping at my chamber door, gently rapping, we've got a commando roll out the way. And perhaps a little bit of a stagger there just to keep him back, but I think as long as we can stay at arm's length here, at the proper MP7 distance, we can do a pretty good job at just coasting him and getting around him. Unless he does that. Okay, he missed. Running a little bit low on 45s here. We're getting through him quite quick. The MP7 real life, very high rate of fire, reflected pretty well here. And despite all of that, there's lots of controllability as well. Probably a little bit of Call of Duty DNA in that respect, I suppose. Anyways, more stealth commandoing, including some mantises. No, just one mantis. They go down. The little buggies, they got no chance against this thing. Alright, I think we've got time for one more. Alright, one last fight. And if you can hear the fans, I've had to turn the fans right up because the computer overheated. Because Australian summers, they don't mess around. And even my new Raider can't handle the heat in here. I'm moving out soon, so hopefully I won't have a room that is going to get cooked by the sun every afternoon. Because, you know, if working on a roof all day isn't going to get me warm enough, sitting in front of a furnace of a laptop after that, currently sweating more than I have all day, you know, it's not pleasant. But anyways, we'll focus on the task at hand. It is killing Roachzilla, which, as you can tell, getting plenty of staggers. Thank you, Commando perks. And the amount of shots and bats we're getting, yeah, it's okay, I suppose, but just guaranteeing those headshots, I think, is a pretty good idea. And we've also got bullet timey vats. They're fun. And the mysterious stranger is showing up once again. That's not a good distraction, though. We'll jump up where he can't get us. There we go. Okay, he's done a little bit there. Not too much. And he is out of there. Did I have two mysterious strangers going on at once? The piano man's going absolutely mental. Yep, here he is again. Now, do you want to give me a hand or what? No, you don't actually give a shit. I would have thought that maybe you'd want to help out a friend, an ally. But what can you do, eh? Alright. We're not actually going too bad. That nerd rage is kind of timely because we're getting just mag dumps upon mag dumps into that rad roach. And before he's done running off, we've got another crit ready to go. We'll follow it up with even more criticals. Another one. We're dropping like crit slack DJ Carla out here. There you go. There's a pop culture reference from like 5 years ago. Is he still? No, I think he's still going, isn't he? But he's no longer that massive meme that he was back in the days, right? Like 2016, I think. Those days where Leafy is here and like Pyro Cynical with these huge commentary channels. I think Pyro Cynical went a bit weird though. He did some weird furry shit with miners, and I kind of just tuned out after that. Anyways, so a lot of inane rambling there, but I think you get the idea. So the MP7A2 or Vel-46, and definitely not 76 as it is, it's a really good weapon. I definitely recommend you check it out. If you do like the MP7 in real life and want a really solid weapon mod of it, and if you're not worried about it being just a port from Call of Duty, which means it's going to have stuff that is not quite right, just dollar store discount stuff, then look no further than this mod. I can't recommend it highly enough. Good stuff. There's also a Desert Eagle that come with this, but maybe I'll look at that in a separate video. But yeah, I just want to look at the MP7 today, and I was not disappointed. So link will be in the description if you feel like getting this for yourself. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.